Hey guys, welcome back to Ken Cinema Sofa. If it's your first time here, I'm your brother Ken, a missionary of 12 years in Tokyo, Japan, serving as a Bible teacher and preacher. But this channel is all about exploring my other passion, awesome cinema. Almost jacked up that intro. Tonight, look man, we're gonna get into something that I've been a little bit afraid of. Thor, Love and Thunder. I love Marvel. I even have some Marvel comics upstairs, vintage ones from the 1970s. I'm not really a big reader of the comics anymore, but I just keep those with me wherever I travel, wherever I live in Japan or in other countries, to just kind of give me a feel of nostalgia from back home. But I do know the stories and the story arcs. X-Men, I was a big X-Men fan. That was my favorite. And I was a casual Avengers fan. But my dad was a big Thor fan growing up. And it's too bad he didn't keep any of the comics. Otherwise, we would be kind of happy, you know, with the extra comics laying around. I'm just kidding. Yeah. So we take it kind of serious. My dad's kind of serious about Thor. I am serious about the integrity of the characters. So I'm all right with Thor having some humor about him. I mean, in the comics anyway. He speaks in constant Shakespearean. I mean, these and thous and art. And they kind of cut that part out of the movie. That might not have been a bad idea. But I like that he is kind of a fish out of water. And that's okay. He's supposed to be that way. And that can be a source of humor and comedy. That's okay. He's not a fool or a buffoon, though. See, that's the thing. And it kind of makes it hard to switch back over into this, you know, noble warrior that, you know, takes heads with one mighty swipe of Mjolnir. We'll see what happens. I don't know, guys. I'm trying to reserve judgment. We'll see what happens, okay? I like Taika Waititi. I think that I like Thor Ragnarok. I think that was good. I think that was as far as it should have gotten with the silliness. Anyway, before we get into it, please like and subscribe. Smash that like button. Hit the notification bell so you can get alerts when I upload new content, you know? So without further ado, Thor, Love and Thunder, directed by Taika Waititi, starring Chris Hemsworth and Natalie Portman. Let's get it. Feels weird to watch a movie now that was just in theaters come out so quickly. I forgot Chris Hemsworth is, not Chris Hemsworth. Why am I forgetting this guy's name now? Christian Bale.
Oh, great and mighty Emperor, we pray to you. I pray to you, not for me, but for my daughter.
So this is his daughter? So he's playing Gorr the God Butcher. I know him from the comics. Come to me. Is that an oasis? Oh man. So his daughter died? That must be like tormenting, right? To find this oasis after she died. Oh, what happened? What is that?
Ah, what do we have here?
Okay, so this is a god,
Oh, it's one of mine.
a deity. Huh.
My lord, the land is dry. Our life is lost. Eternal reward. Is this why you celebrate? He thinks there's an eternal reward.
Okay, I'm sensing a statement, a religious statement already.
What we're celebrating is a fresh kill. We just vanquished the holder of the Necro Sword before he could harm any other gods. Suffering for your gods is your only purpose.
There's nothing for you after.
Uh-oh. Well, I picked a ripe one here.
I renounce you. Your meaningless life finally does have a purpose. To sacrifice yourself to me.
All these gods have great British accents. That's eternity, right? Yeah. In the Marvel universe, that's eternity. Oh. Oh, wow.
So this is my vow. All gods will die.
So it's interesting that in ancient times, ancient Sumerian times, this is thousands of years ago, even before Babylon, that there were legends, the legend of Gilgamesh, who went out to kill Huwawa, which was the kind of like a monster bull, or it's called the Bull of Heaven, that was sent by Enlil, who was like the Lord of Gods. Enlil sent this beast to protect like a sacred forest, like a cedar forest, to keep people out. Gilgamesh and his friend or his servant, I forgot the servant's name, but basically they went to go and kill this thing, this notion of man killing divine creatures. There's lots of theologians that see a connection between that and where these legends actually came from, which would have been what Genesis speaks of, Eden. God appointed a cherub to guard the way, the entrance to the Garden of Eden, so that no human could go in to eat from the tree of life and have immortality. And actually, Gilgamesh, in his legend, he goes on afterwards to search for a means of immortality. What is this? Well, some people would say that the Bible is actually inspired by the Gilgamesh legend. Christians, what we believe, since we believe that the Bible is the inspired word of God, and just because something was written down first does not necessarily mean that that account is the oldest. It just means that it was written down first. The oral traditions or the memories of what happened could have gone back hundreds of years before. So what theologians believe is that after the humans were cast out of Eden, the generations of children from Adam and Eve grew up in bitterness. I mean, because Eden, the garden and its entrance, guarded by that cherub, would have still been there before Noah's flood. People most likely would have known where it was, but no one could enter it. And what does a cherub look like? Well, it doesn't look like anything from a Botticelli painting, okay? That came thousands of years later when European painters tried to prettify everything that's spoken of in the Bible. When the Bible speaks about cherubs, or cherubim in the Hebrew, they're described as a mix of human and beast and a celestial, divine, unearthly creature.
Thor was taught to help win battles, fighting the good fight for those who can't fight. Thor lost. In fact, he lost a lot of people in those days. His mum, his dad, and that guy, and that guy, and whoever that is, and Heimdall.
The Warriors 3 are relegated to that guy?
Teamed up with the Guardians of the Galaxy and set off on some classic Thor adventures.
Classic Thor adventures. I like that. One thing I like about the MCU that they didn't used to do in other comic book movies from years ago is that they give you the sense that things have happened in between, like many issues of comics.
Thor, we need your help to win this battle. Let's go.
Come on, Stormbreaker. Back to work.
See you down there.
What is going on? Is he a new candidate for Hogwarts now?
Hello, everybody.
Well, look who it is.
How are we doing, guys? Horrible. We're all about to die. King Yakan.
You have finally joined our fight. As you know, we used to live in a peaceful oasis, but then our gods were murdered. And now our sacred temple has been left.
GORR'S making his rounds, huh?
Free. Here it comes. This ends here and now.
That's awesome. That's awesome visuals. Oh my, come on. Yeah. It's gonna blow up.
We use our hearts and our minds to defeat the enemy with minimal loss or damage.
So I wonder if they're gonna adapt this story from the comics.
Yep, you're Dr. Jane Foster?
I am.
Hi.
I exist in space and time. Like that.
You just ruined your own book.
Yeah, but now you understand.
It's like they are going with it. Because I know in the books she had cancer.
Jane, it's stage 4. I have like, how many stages? 4 that we know about.
Wow. That's really interesting for the tone of this film. I mean, from the trailers and commercials and what I hear people say about it, that is just goofy. I mean, how can you make it goofy? Like, how can you deal with that? With I don't know what I'm saying right now. I mean, So this is New Asgard. She cannot be happy with this. I mean, she's a warrior. Come on. Is Matt Damon back?
Yes. The planet's Asgard.
Asgard is not a planet.
And Sam Neill. Is this I heard that this is Chris Hemsworth's brother. I read that Sam Neill, I don't know that much about this, but I do know that Sam Neill, he said that he had no idea where he was, what he was doing when he filmed this. You would think that in Asgard, even New Asgard, they wouldn't need such rudimentary. Oh my God. Surely somebody with Asgardian abilities could have been nearby. Oh wow, okay. So is she worthy?
Tradition, the protectors of our world are bestowed with great beasts.
Ah, okay, yeah, because traditionally Thor rode a sleigh or a sled, you know, dragged by goats, you know, and that's like the actual mythology of Thor, the Viking mythology. So I guess they're trying to line it up. That's interesting.
God Butcher. He's at the hanging. It's a warning. Look at all of these gods murdered. Our greatest champions. Now laid to waste.
Oh.
Go back.
That's Lady Sif.
Oh, where are you?
Sif?
We need you here.
After thousands of years of living, you don't seem to know who the hell you are. I've been lost before. But then I found meaning. I found love. You ever feel lost? Just look into the eyes of the people that you love. They'll tell you exactly who you are.
I saw this in the trailer.
Sif, it's me, Thor.
Odinson.
You're missing an arm. I'm gonna get you home.
Man, dude.
To get into Valhalla, you have to die in the battle. You survived.
No, man. No. This is just, no. Yeah, I don't know. I seriously feel like this is a continuation of the stage play with Matt Damon on the stage, right? This is creepy already. So I guess he is cursed. Okay, it is New Asgard.
It's not my fault. I've never even seen these things, whatever the hell they are.
Welcome back.
Mjolnir!
Wow, that's a new ability. See, I love the helmet. I've always wanted to see them continue with that.
Jane?
Somehow it just made sense. Together they embarked on a journey of love.
Oh, that's the Japanese. Yeah, I got one of those in the corner. Yeah, this is this is called a kendama. I kind of cheated there. I'm terrible at this.
Will always protect her.
Ah, okay.
I love you too, buddy.
So he gave Mjolnir instructions. Okay. Ah, okay. Gotcha.
Hey, go through this data.
I have to stay up all night and clean all of this up.
There's
with
two
the dishes.
Man, that is creepy. That is really creepy. Well, this is somebody who has killed gods, so...
Is that the Necro sword? That's cool. I've only ever read about it in stories.
And you know this is going to...
What is pain? A construct invented by the weak. Okay, that's right.
What is that? Is that his ship? Freaky ship?
To say that I left.
Oh, no, you left. You did. You wrote me a beautiful handwritten letter. I should know I was there.
You weren't there,
I was.
actually, hence the note.
Working on a performance of this entire People need entertainment. Particularly now, in times of crisis. I did not hear a no. Nor did I.
I love that. I did not hear a no.
Can you see me?
Floating hit alert.
It's Astrid, Heimdall's son.
Astrid,
Huh.
are you okay?
I no longer go by the name Astrid. I'm now known as Axel. He's a singer from a popular band I heard on Earth.
Okay.
You know, the good news is you're Asgardians. So if you die, you'll end up in Valhalla.
Oh my god, go away.
This is fun. It's funny, but I feel like the subject matter of the story, in some ways, it's a missed opportunity with what kind of dramatic action film it could have been.
They're in the Shadow Realm.
How'd you know?
The atmosphere there has a darkness like no other. It's as if color fears to tread. It's unmistakable.
Those goats to the front.
Oh, okay. So they really are making the sled dragged by the goats. Yeah, so in the comics, Jane, this storyline when she became Lady Thor,
And whatever happens,
whenever she would turn back into a human,
never stop.
whatever cancer treatment she had gone through kind of would like be negated, you know?
Hey, you alright? I love being king. I love my people, but it's all meetings and Ravenmail and meetings that could have been Ravenmail. I miss fighting. I miss my sisters, which is why you need to come, because I need one.
Okay, so I've seen this in trailers. I just figured this was Olympus, the home of the Greek gods, but this is a place for all gods from different realms and worlds. Okay, gotcha. Do you want something
So I
about
was
it?
thinking, when we get to the bad guy, what about if I had like a cool catchphrase, like, eat this hammer, bang, or like, check out my hammer, bang.
Catchphrase. Wow. You know, like, I feel like we're a little bit past the stage of poking fun at the genre of comic book films, aren't we? We know we're entering the movie theater to see a comic book film. And we need to be reminded of that every 5 minutes
Who's so cool?
that we're watching, or, you know, comic book stories. I mean, it's escapism. It's okay. Oh,
What a neat story. You know what Opti loves? Having his head ripped off.
oh.
Oh, look at you. I knew a little girl just like you. And she was brave. And she was smart. She liked to draw.
Yeah.
Ask you a question.
See, this is more rich. I like
About
this.
gods.
See, this is interesting, though, because their idea of gods is the same as many ancient cultures around the world and their idea of gods, which are like humanoid beings. Yeah, look at that. Wow, that's really...
Look at that one.
Look at that.
Bow, got dumplings. Hey, bow.
What? Waititi is not only poking fun at Marvel now, he's really sticking holes, poking fun at religion now. Russell Crowe.
And the myth, the legend. Oh, I don't know if you know this, but I base a lot of what I do on this guy. He's the god of lightning, I'm the god of thunder. Huge source of inspiration.
So is Zeus supposed to be like, I thought this was a world of all the different gods from around the realms. Is he supposed to be the lord of them as well?
The winner of the most human souls sacrificed in the name of a god. Okay, maybe he's not that great.
Oh my God. You know what? Like, this is some very sly, comedic, but underlying sharp, biting commentary against religion. The interesting thing about this is that the movie, you know, Waititi is showing us the issues, the holes in religion, right? But many of these issues that he and other people like him have against religion, they're not baseless. If you look at religion and gods and ancient gods and the legends surrounding them, the stories of Zeus, how many people did he have sex with? How many women did he bewitch? You know, have children, demigods that came from them, like Hercules. You know, if you base your argument against religion on that, on the facts of these different mythologies and legends, it would look like they're entirely man-made, because the gods, though they're divine, they just basically act out all of humanity's base instincts, right? There's many times not much to look up to them about, right? But with the God of Israel, totally different. He's not humanoid, apart from Jesus Christ, which was a very specific moment in mission that lasted for 33 years until his death and resurrection to atone for human sin. Very selfless.
Take off your disguise and flick it. Too hard, damn it!
Rip Loki.
I am scared. Gorr has the necro sword, which means he could kill us. Not good.
If you're not going to help us, then at least let us use your weapon. We need your lightning bolt.
My lightning bolt is called Thunderbolt.
Okay.
No!
I see all this gold dust flying out. Like, oh.
Beyond that, Odinson!
See, I don't know how to feel because the tone of this film, you know? Oh, shoot.
That's the sound of lightning.
Okay, I didn't die!
Yes, you're alive!
Turns out the only part of a Cronin that's alive is his mouth. I did it!
You should see some space dolphins.
Beautiful. Wow.
So beautiful, so rare. They're very loyal creatures. I want to feel shitty about you.
What?
Well, you know what? I want to feel shitty about something, and I think that's you.
Not really getting it.
Man, like every other line is a joke, man.
Where did the color go?
What's going on? All the color's gone. That was funny. They made it look like it was going to be a long journey to the planet, but the planet is just actually small. Yeah, that's how eternity looks.
Trust is the key.
Ah, so he's like, well, he's been waiting for them to come. It's interesting how the lightning bolt is the only thing of color, aside from Valkyrie. Wow.
They have to stop meeting like this. Call the axe. Don't call the axe when you call the dentist.
You went to the gods for help and they did nothing. We're alike in that sense.
He's nothing like you.
Oh, the gods failed you too. Your sisterhood was led to slaughter.
You dare speak?
The women you loved lay dying on the battlefield.
I want to feel something, but it's so hard to switch back from the farcical nature of the earlier scenes to this. I just...
Oh, you're dying. I'm sorry. We're on the same path. Call the axe.
She's getting pretty good with that. Oh. Man. One thing I like about this, though, is they're really going into the celestial, like, space battles, what I would expect to see from the comics, the Marvel comics. Oh, wow. What happened? Well, actually, though, you know what? I mean, what he's doing, we obviously don't want him to succeed because he's the villain. But, I mean, if these are the gods that he's angry at, these beings, Elohim, you know, it's warranted.
But something's affecting her body's ability to fight the cancer. I'm sorry, Thor.
Oh, so it is the Mjolnir.
Now you just gotta get this out of my
Oh, no.
arm.
That's got to stay in there. That's all the magic potions and elixirs doing their thing. So, and this is a chance for us. If you pick up that damn hammer again, then that chance is gone.
See, I'm a little bit angry because this could have been so much more mature and deep with some comedy elements. But it's just hard to shift back to this.
I wish I could join you, but I'd probably die and that won't help get the kids back, so you'll have to go alone. All you have to do is destroy that sword.
Oh, wow, okay. Oh, I guess all god weapons have some type of ability to access a Bifrost-like realm.
That will go down in history. Today is a day that we'll talk about for generations to come. Today, we are space Vikings. Whosoever holds the power of Thor!
Oh, is he able to do that? Or is he just burning kids? His kids' curls are on fire. Should I not be thinking about that? Is highly likely there are going to be some kid casualties? That's the thing about movies, guys. Like, and that's why I'm actually liking the Marvel Disney Plus shows, because when you do a character arc, story arc, like Lady Thor as a movie, it's gonna only last for what, 2 hours? When she had an arc, I mean, for a year or two, many adventures.
Name is Mighty Thor. If you can't say Mighty Thor, I'll accept Dr. Jane Foster! okay? You have to stop him.
I know your pain, but this isn't the way. It's not death or revenge that you seek.
What do I seek?
You seek love.
I feel conflicted, guys. I feel like this is two different films. It could have been so good.
I love you.
I love you too.
Especially after their king made them all go to self-defense class.
I wonder if that is, is that actual?
No, you're not.
Go to hell, Steven!
Oh! Is that Chris Hemsworth's daughter?
They have traveled far and have been given many names. But to those who know them best, they are simply known as Love and Thunder.
Ah, as I thought, he's still alive.
It will feed us again. When Thor Odinson falls from the sky, do you understand me, Hercules? Do you understand me, my son?
Yes, Father.
Well, I heard that was going to happen, and I'm glad to see it, because Hercules in the Marvel Comics is one of my favorite Avengers. That's when I started reading Avengers comics, is when Hercules was part of the Avengers team. Oops. Sorry if you didn't know that was going to happen, but he's an Avenger, so we'll see. I don't know if they're going to follow that route, but come on. If they bring him into the fold, that's what's going to happen. Okay, let's skip ahead, see what else is, any other ending. Is this Valhalla? Hey guys, this is Ken from the future. That's right. As you can see, my clothes are different and the sun is out here. I just had to take a little break. I wanted to, sleep on it, my reaction and my final discussion about this film. I give this film a very strong, respectable meh. Here's the thing. This movie has a problem with tone. As I said before, I'm a fan of Thor, but my father is even more a fan of Thor. And I just feel like Taika Waititi, I don't know if, I think maybe Marvel let him run a little bit too far with his, eccentric style. I liked Ragnarok. I think that was probably as far as they should have gone with the comedy and the super winking, the wink, 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 wink. Yeah, we got it, man. You may think that because there are so many outlandish characters that the story and the writing and the comics is, silly like this, but it's not. It's not. So this kind of comes off as, maybe he didn't intend it that way, but in some ways it kind of comes off as condescending. Yeah, we get it. It's a theme park now, New Asgard, all of that. This was just a straight up, it was just too much comedy. This was a straight up comedy. Where is God? And where are my prayers going? And doesn't he care about his creation? Man, when they switched to that, it was just jarring for me. And I didn't know what kind of film I was watching. I didn't know how to feel. And it's not because they were asking deep questions that I couldn't get or confounded me theologically. It's just that I didn't know what ride we were on, man. I mean, on one hand, it got quite silly. It was funny at times. I enjoyed the humor. That's why I won't say I hate this film. I don't hate it. It was good. It was meh, good meh. I don't know. That's a new rating, okay? I feel honestly like you could cut this film in a way. You know how certain movies like Blade Runner has like endless cuts? I mean, for like 40 years, they are constantly making a new movie out of that thing. I don't know how, but I'm a big fan of Blade Runner, okay? I feel like this. I feel like in the next 20, 30 years, you could, Waititi could just make endless cuts from this film. So moving on to the more deeper theological stuff. On the flip side, I will say that the vibrance of it and the inclusion of many classic, obscure comic book elements, I enjoyed that in this movie. I just wish they were treated more seriously or with more respect. But once again, you don't have to remind me. Hey, Ken, look at that. That's weird, right? That's wild. That's from comic book, Ken. Look, if you want to introduce the goats, that's cool. Aside from that, let's get into the more deep theological stuff now. Even though there was a surface veneer of sarcastic, satirical comedy, we all know, or maybe you don't know, when people do that in storytelling or films or even in real life, you look underneath, you can see that the director or the writers are really dealing with issues that humans deal with or have dealt with for all of human history. Existentialism. Why are we here? Why can't we talk with the Creator? Why has He made Himself invisible? And you know what? As a missionary, and a Bible teacher, I am all about asking these deep questions. I was talking with someone recently about this just last week. I mean, for like 4 hours in a cafe. King David in the Psalms. There were times where part of his worship was wrestling with the pain and destruction and the isolation and loneliness of the being a human on the earth. Worship in its core is about extolling the value and the glory of God. And sometimes to get to that place, it takes a humbling of oneself. And one of the best ways to be humbled is to, go through some tough times, and you understand your fragile mortality in the big scheme of things, which is the universe and all these things that are going on, the sun and the moon and planets rushing thousands of miles per hour around the sun, but yet they're not burning, they're not freezing, they're at the exact right position in space to sustain life. Man, that my life and my troubles compared to that, and compared to the one who is keeping that going, right? Oh man, I have to come to terms with that. I have to wrestle with that. We find this all throughout the Bible, and especially in the book of Psalms, which is the book that is a collection of worship. And, it's not all, sunshines and rainbows. Going through that process leads to a deeper meditation of God, and which may not happen, most likely would not happen, if everything was just going exactly the way we want. So I greatly respect that they went that route. Once again, it's derailed by the buffoonery, but there are times where they brought it back down again, But the buffoonery was peppered throughout. Anyway, all right. So I really broke it down to two main issues that they dealt with: human pain, loss, and separation from God, right? This has been the question of human history. Where are you, God? Which is connected to the second point: terrible gods, or who is God? What kind of God? Terrible gods. So the first point, human loss and death and disease, we see this in the film. We see the children being kidnapped, right? Taken. We see this from the get-go with Gorr losing his daughter. I had a good friend, like a brother to me here in Japan. When I first landed here as a missionary, he was the one that reached out to me and in the church, and man, like that guy pretty much took me under his wing. One day, We were talking on the phone about God and about people making fun of God and, on social media and things like that. And he said to me, people need to stop doing that. They never know when they will see God. They need to be careful. And that same day in the evening, his wife sent me a text. Or was it a text or she called me? She just said, he died. I had just talked to him 6 hours before. He was doing push-ups and his heart gave out. And so I was faced with that in a very short time, like, oh my God, like I just talked to this guy 6 hours ago. I thought it was a joke. So I do understand, I understand there's loss. And he and I, we were both Christians, believers in God, Bible teachers. He had a small group, Bible group that he would teach as well. And so it would be easy for me to go through something like that and just denounce God and wonder, where is the Lord? But because me and my friend had a Christian worldview and an understanding of the human soul being eternal and the time on earth compared to eternity being like a drop of water in the ocean, I won't say it didn't hurt. It did, and it took me time to get over it, and I still think about it. But there's not the same finite feeling of endings. I will see my brother again. I say all that to say that I understand the depth of how people feel with this question, wrestling with this question, this existential question. So I like that they brought that out in the film. I really love that. But then again, that is, connected to the second point I was just talking about. That leads you to wonder, if you're not a Christian, if you don't understand about God, you don't read the Bible deeply, you could be a Christian, but you just don't study the Bible. You don't study the Word. You don't know it, which is unfortunate. If you're a Christian, I pray that you start to read your Bible even more. It is such a blessing and fruitful to be Bible literate, to know what the Word of God says rather than what people in the world try to tell you that it says. Because many of them aren't reading it either, and they're passing on information that they've heard, and the person that told them that could have been someone that was hurt by someone else in the church, and you just don't know. It's hard to trust that information. So it's so good to read the Bible yourself, know what the Word says, because so many people I've met, they've had problems, issues, and, they're violent, and then when we sit down and read what the Bible actually says, they're like, I had no idea it said that. Okay, well, if all this destruction and pain is happening, where is God? Who is God? What kind of God? And I think the film dealt with that very well when they came to the council, I guess, of different gods, right? And I saw different types of gods. I saw Maori gods there, and I saw some Chinese gods, right? And somehow Russell Crowe was like the Lord over all of it, Zeus, right? So in dealing with this issue, we actually have two more points in dealing with this particular issue, talking about God and gods and what type of God, and are they terrible gods? From a biblical point of view, we have one, gods of human design. That's talking from the point of view that the deities throughout human history are actually inventions of humanity. There are lots of atheists that have this worldview, and that is from a biblical point of view. As a Christian, that's partially true. And then the second point is the fallen beings, or the Elohim, and we'll talk about that as well. So the first point, are deities, are gods inventions of humanity? Well, the Bible is kind of complex on that subject. In some ways, the Bible kind of alludes to, yes, humans have made these different ideas, these different gods. But then in other scriptures, for example, in Deuteronomy, where Moses is speaking to a new generation of Israel before they enter the promised land of Canaan, he shares with them that their forefathers, the previous generations of Israelites, died in the wilderness because they worshipped to devils. But we'll deal with that in the second part. First, let's talk about the human inventions, okay? Apart from the Abrahamic faiths, which is like, Judaism, Christianity, Islam. Most of the other beings and deities in the world religions are humanoid, and they share certain human-like traits. Some of them are honorable. Many of them reflect certain traits, some of the less respectable traits of humanity. Lust, greed, selfishness. For example, Zeus himself was known to seduce many young ladies and just, spurting out lots of demigod sons. This is where we get, I believe, Perseus. Hercules. This is where he got his great strength. Zeus would go on to seduce many women, including, there was one called Leda. And this is the scene where Zeus transformed himself into a swan in order to seduce and have sex with this woman. And so you can see that Taika Waititi is kind of exploring some of that by showing in the film the scene where Zeus is like, we're going to have an orgy, right? And you cannot come to the orgy. It's crazy. There's some intelligence behind that. It's not just buffoonery just for buffoonery's sake. There are some scenes that's definitely that, without a doubt. So Kali, also from the more relatively recent religion of Hinduism, she clearly is standing, image of a woman, standing with her foot on Shiva, who Shiva is considered like the chief deity. Kali represents what they call the term Shakti, or feminine energy. And so there are some that say that, no, she is a symbol of nature and over humanity, and how mankind cannot stand against nature. No, the term Shakti is talking about feminine energy, fertility, and that's why she appears as a goddess. And quite terrifying, right? She's got, her tongue out, and she's also called, Kali Ma, the Black Mother Goddess. Men's heads hanging around her neck. She's got a bloody knife in one hand, right? And so these, once again, are elements of humanity that are reflecting not only sexuality and lust and even perversion in some cases, but ongoing feuds between sexes, between genders, these type of things that are beneath the God of Israel, the Yahweh, what he has created and how he has created human beings, man and woman, taking the rib out of man to create woman and bringing them together and showing them that you all need each other. You're like two pieces of a puzzle, right? Together, God bless you. You can make new human beings, new creatures in your image. I bequeath this gift to you. So beautiful. But the ways of the world finds its ways in the different gods that they create, right? So that is one way of looking at it. Two, another way of looking at it is fallen beings, or the term Elohim. Now, Elohim does not necessarily mean a fallen being. Elohim is just an old Hebrew word that means spiritual being. It's like God, like small g, God, right? So when they say that, spiritual being, Elohim, they could be talking about Yahweh, which many times in the Bible, that's who they're talking about. But it could be talking about other spiritual beings. It could be talking about even types of angels. For example, in Genesis 28:12, Jacob, who becomes Israel later on, is asleep and is having a dream of a giant ladder that extends up into the heavens, up into the celestial realm. And he sees angels descending and ascending up this ladder. I mean, an amazing, out of this world experience that vision must have been. So we English speakers, we really just get the short end of the stick when it comes to translations. They just translate angel, God, angel. But when you see that in the Bible, in scripture, it's not always using the same word in the original Hebrew. The word is Melech Elohim, angel or messenger of God. They're speaking of the angels being a messenger of God, but also they're referring to them as Elohim as well, spiritual being. Elohim comes from the word, or is derived from El, which is an old Canaanite word that just means, as I said before, God, right? The Elohim fell. The council of spiritual beings God himself shares power. This is one of the reasons why there were angels and spiritual beings and that are in positions of authority. God shared power with them. We see in Revelation when different angels are breaking the seals to read the judgments on the earth. And even the angel that is tasked to put Satan in the pit of hell for 1,000 years, he has authority. Michael the archangel, why is there an ark? Well, he has a level of authority. All of that is given by God. So the Bible teaches that God, even though he is all powerful, he's not selfish. He's a gracious God. He shares power with spiritual beings and with humans as well. These beings fell. They rebelled against God, led by Satan, and they were cast out of heaven. And the Bible teaches that they came down to earth and they went to different nations and made themselves gods. Worship me. What they couldn't do in heaven, they came down to earth and they did this across the earth, gathering people to them, doing miracles, doing supernatural things in using the angelic power that they had before, using it to bring attention and glory to themselves. So this goes back to what Moses spoke in Deuteronomy. So in Deuteronomy 32, starting from verse 15, Moses says, he's speaking to, like I said, a new Israel, a new generation of Israel. He said, but Jeshurun, which was a nickname for Israel, Jeshurun grew fat and kicked, becoming fat, bloated and gorged. He abandoned the God who made him and scorned the rock of his salvation. So basically Moses is saying that Israel got fat. They got satisfied, manzoku in Japanese, got satisfied from all the great and wonderful things that God had done for them, bringing them out of Egypt, saving them from Pharaoh's wrath, providing for them in the desert, showing the surrounding nations his glory. They could see the fire of God above the Ark of the Covenant in the wilderness, and the other nations respected Israel. They would let them go on their way without trying to attack them. As humans tend to do, they got so used to God. They got used to the supernatural and the glory of God, and they began to worship other deities. So it says here in verse 16, they provoked his jealousy with foreign gods. They enraged him with abomination. They sacrificed to demons, not to God, to gods they had not known. So as the first way that we looked at it, as the different gods are inventions of humans, here the Bible is also showing that some of these gods are actually fallen beings, or Elohim, that left their previous place of authority and respect in heaven and fell down to the earth. And this is corroborated in other scriptures. The book of Jude, chapter 1, verse 6 says, and the angels who did not keep their positions of authority, but abandoned their proper dwelling, these he has kept in darkness, bound with everlasting chains for judgment on the great day. That's in the New Testament. Now, because of this, that means that these Elohim that have fallen, they have lost their grace, their light from God. So they are terribly evil, dark, wicked things. So in these different religions that they spread across the earth, eventually there's going to be some darkness that shows up. Initially, there may be moments of light and wisdom. We have throughout history different Babylonian steles, and which are like tall stone monuments inscribing laws of how to treat human beings and things like that. For example, the Babylonian stone, the Code of Hammurabi. But later on, we see as history progresses that these nations begin to show the dark sides of the deities that they worship. For example, you watched my other videos talking about the Canaanite deities, Molech, Chemosh, the killing of babies, burning of babies in the hands of Chemosh, as this metal idol is superheated from inside, right? Causing it to become like white hot and just basically melting infants. And why? Because they want a good harvest for next year. Even in places as far away as Japan and China, you had something called Shitobashira. And Shitobashira was a type of human sacrifice that involved murdering and enshrining or encasing a human being in the shrine or a new shrine's foundation as it was being built. So they would be put into that pillar or whatever foundation forever in order to appease some god and protect that shrine from, natural disasters or flooding. In fact, there was one account of a Japanese woman who in the ancient times, hundreds of years ago, was caught, and she was chosen to be sacrificed to protect a shrine that was next to a new bridge or a new bridge that was being built. And she was very poor. She had children. She couldn't even see correctly. She had one eye. And she relented and said, okay, I will allow myself, which she couldn't really, make a choice, I will allow myself to be sacrificed if you will at least make my son promise to make him a samurai. And so the authorities agreed. These were government authorities, okay? This is not like some lynch mob. This was the government. They were building a new bridge, but this is the type of deity, this is the type of religion that they followed. And they killed her. And they encased her in the foundation of this new shrine. Interestingly enough, it did end up flooding anyway years later. And it was found out that they had broken their promise. They had never made the young son a samurai at all. Anyway, you can read more about that in my book, Let There Be Light, 50 Tough Bible Questions, 50 Illuminating Answers at the link in the description, Amazon link. Now, I hear what you're saying. Some of you may say, well, Jesus Christ was a sacrifice himself. That makes Yahweh no different. The very big difference in that is that Jesus, called Emmanuel, God with us, is the creator himself in flesh. Took on the position of a son to teach humility to all that would believe as he came into the earth realm. But Jesus himself is God, clearly. Jesus says in John 12:44-47, then Jesus cried out, whoever believes in me does not believe in me only, but in the one who sent me. The one who looks at me is seeing the one who sent me. And then giving himself up on the cross, allowing himself to be spit on, punched in the face, and whipped and ridiculed and mocked. They put the crown of thorns on his head, calling him a king. Oh, Yahweh, Yahweh, you are the king of the Jews, right? Blindfolding him and hitting him on the face and saying, prophesy, who hit you, right? All of that is demeaning to the creator of the universe. If you indeed believe he is the creator of the universe, if you do, then that's where that sense of wonder and awe and gratitude comes from. This is a far cry from anything that is presented in any other religion of a God that not only loves and says that he loves the world, but is ready to put himself through the ringer from the deepest evils and darkest and depths of wicked realms to show his love for us. It's funny because I think this is the reason why Jesus did not appear in this movie. It was actually said, I read in production notes, that Taika Waititi and the others, they had talked about putting Jesus in the film, but they didn't. And I think I understand why. How could you, right? I mean, considering how the other gods were portrayed, I mean, so wrapped up with lust and orgies and selfishness and just their names being known and not giving anything back to the world. Christ and his personality, if you actually read the Bible and know his personality, just doesn't match up with that, and so doesn't fit the agenda. So guys, that's it. That's all I have to say. I know that was a lot. This is going to be edited down. There's actually a lot more. I just wanted to share what's in my heart when it comes to Thor, Love and Thunder. If I was to give it, let's see, out of 10 stars, I would give it a 6.5. What do you think about that? So, give me a thumbs up if you like my reaction and my commentary. Thumbs down if you didn't. It's okay. I'm a big boy. God bless you wherever you are in the world right now, and I'll see you next time on the sofa.